So when you hear the word fasting, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably hunger, right? Maybe thirst. But in Islam, that's really just scratching the surface. Today, we're diving into the spiritual journey underneath it all to uncover the really profound purpose behind the practice.
So, if it's not just about going without food and water, then what's the real goal here? What's it all for? That's the big question we're going to unpack together.
All right, before we jump into the why, we've got to understand the what. Let's take a look at where fasting actually fits into the structure of the faith itself.
Okay, so on the surface, the definition is super simple, right? It's abstaining from all food and drink, usually from sunrise to sunset. But, and this is a big but, that physical act, that's just the starting line.
And you know, this isn't some optional thing you can just decide to do or not. Nope. Fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. That means it's right up there with core practices like prayer and charity. It's fundamental to the faith.
So we've got the what down. Now let's move past the physical part and get to the spiritual goal. This is where it gets really interesting. This is the heart of it all. What is the end game here?
Well, the Quran actually gives us the answer, straight up. It says the whole point of fasting isn't to feel hungry, it's to become righteous. Okay, but what does righteous even mean in this context? So, righteousness here is all about developing the state of God consciousness. Think about it like this. Imagine you're constantly gently aware that God is watching you. Just having that thought in the back of your mind, it naturally pushes you to be the best version of yourself, right? You'd think twice before doing something you shouldn't. You can almost think of Ramadan as a month-long spiritual boot camp. The real challenge isn't just getting through the day without a sip of water. The real test is whether you can take that self-discipline, that heightened awareness, and carry it with you through the other 11 months of the year. So, let's say you do it. You complete this month of intense training. What happens next? What are the results? Let's break down the key spiritual benefits that kind of ripple out from this one practice.
On the inside, when you deny yourself your most basic needs, it builds some serious patience and self-control. It also encourages things like truthfulness and modesty. And at its very core, it's this huge act of obedience to God, which just strengthens that spiritual connection.
Now, that internal shift naturally leads to external actions. I mean, when you experience real hunger yourself, you can't help but feel a deeper empathy for those who live with it every day. And that empathy makes you more thankful for what you have, which then makes you want to be more charitable. And of course, the ultimate goals are spiritual, hoping for God's forgiveness and, the promise of paradise.
But you might be wondering, why Ramadan specifically? Why does all of this intense spiritual focus happen during this one particular month? What's so special about it?
To get a handle on this, let's look at another example. There's a fast called the Fast of Ashura. It commemorates a huge historical moment, Moses' victory over the Pharaoh. So, if a single day of fasting is for something that big, what on earth could have happened that's so massive it requires fasting for an entire month?
And here it is, the answer. The reason for fasting the whole month of Ramadan is to celebrate the single most important event in Islamic history, the moment the Quran, their holy book, first began to be revealed to the Prophet Muhammad.
You see, the Quran isn't just seen as a book for Muslims, it's described as guidance for all of humanity. It's even called Al-Furqan, which means the ultimate way to tell right from wrong. That is the epic event that this month-long fast is all about.
Okay, but let's zoom in even closer. Because inside this already special month, there is one single night that's considered the most powerful, the most significant of the entire year.
This is the night it all started, the night the very first verses of the Quran were revealed. It's called the Night of Decree, and the Quran says this one night is better than 1,000 months. Just let that sink in for a second.
1,000 months? That's more than 83 years. That's literally longer than most people live. So the spiritual power, the value of worship on this one night is considered greater than an entire lifetime of devotion.
I mean, that is just an incredible opportunity, right? It's a chance to get blessings, to get forgiveness that would be equal to what you'd get in a whole lifetime of worship, all packed into the hours of just one single night.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. There's actual practical advice on how to find this night. People are encouraged to really search for it with extra prayers and devotion during the last 10 days of Ramadan, especially on the odd-numbered nights.
And that really brings us full circle, back to the main idea. Fasting is like a spiritual reset button.
It's this intense training camp designed to build a kind of consciousness that sticks with you. So, the question I'll leave you with is this: how can the discipline you build in just 1 month truly change who you are for the rest of the year?